Welcome back to Sweet Home Chicago Sports. I'm Will. In this video, we're going to dive into this weekend's Cubs Diamondbacks series in Chicago. Let's take a look at where these teams sit coming into the second half of the season. The Diamondbacks sit one game above 500 at 49 and 48. The Cubs sit at 47 and 51. The Diamondbacks sit 7 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West, tied for second place with the Padres. The Cubs sit in last place in the NL Central, 8.5 games behind the Brewers. Diamondbacks come in winners of 4 of their last 5, although they did win their, or though they did lose their last game of the first half to the Blue Jays. They've been Some of their offensive numbers are going to be a little inflated based on this 12 to 1 win here over the Blue Jays. Now let's take a look at the Cubs over their final 8 games. They won 6 of them, including a 3-game sweep in Baltimore over the Orioles, including 2 shutouts, which really has the Cubs going strong into the break. Now, between these two, the Cubs have won 2 out of the 3 this year. All 3 have been in Arizona. That was that series kind of ending the Michael Busch home run hot streak. 2 of those 3 games went into extra innings, so I would expect another tightly contested series here. Let's take a look at the ballpark, Wrigley Field. Um, so maybe surprising to some. For the most part, Wrigley Field is a below average offensive park. Of course, that's going to depend greatly on the time of year and the wind. But looking at this series, we're seeing really like around 75 degrees. Going to be cool, pretty beautiful out there, and the wind only expected to be 2 to 3 miles per hour for this weekend. So I wouldn't expect much help from the wind on anything, but it should be actually playing fairly straightforward, which is somewhat unusual at this point of the summer. So now I'll get into the potential pitching matchups for this weekend. These matchups aren't official yet, but best guess of what we've got. Justin Steele is expected to make the start for the Cubs on Friday, coming off 3 really good starts. We can take a look at the pitcher start score here, and that's equally distributed 1 to 100 score of within all starts across Major League Baseball this year. So 100 the best, 0 not so good. So we can see Steele's last 2, a 94 and a 95, including that complete game against the Angels, and then an 86 prior to that at Milwaukee. So he's really hitting his stride here going into the break. For the Diamondbacks, Zach Gallen expected to go on Friday, the ace of the Diamondbacks staff, but he's really struggled in his last 2. As you can see, his last start, just a 6 against Toronto, and then a 32 prior to that against Atlanta. But 3 starts ago, a 98 against Oakland. So who knows what we're going to get out of Gallen coming out of the break. Take a little bit of a closer look at Zach Gallen here. We see he's been getting hit really hard this year, and we see that based on he's in the 2nd percentile in the MLB in average exit velocity and 4th percentile in hard hit. 47.5% of his balls are hard hit, which is very high. And if we look at his rolling 100 plate appearances, we could see some of those hard hits, and he's really getting hit hard in those last two starts that we showed on that previous graph. We see the key for him has been the curve and the breaking stuff. So if we can stay on the fastballs and force him into the zone with some of those fastballs, Cubs may be able to have some success against Gallen on Friday. The game 2 starters, Shota Imanaga and Brandon Pfaadt. A little more up and down for these two, as you can see on this start score chart. Pfaadt really has improved over his last 5 or 6 starts here, and finished the first half with a 96 start score against the Braves. Shota, the Cubs lone all-star, has been a little bit more rocky here as of late, and we see that really rough start score of 1 against the Mets. Um, but really started to get back to where he was over his last three with kind of above average start scores. So as we take a look at Brandon Pfaadt, uh, the one thing that jumps out to me, fastball run value is +7, so it's almost everything good he's done is from the fastball. His breaking stuff, mainly that sweeper, -8 run value. So that's been really, really bad for him. So again, if we can force him to get to that breaking stuff and he'll make some mistakes with it, then we can capitalize on him. A lot of the other stuff hovering around average. He doesn't walk many guys, 83rd percentile in walk rate. Um, but a lot of the other stuff hovering around MLB average. If you take a look at Shota, he's kind of similar in the fact that it's almost all the value coming from his fastball, especially that high fastball we've seen him use a lot to get those chases, 95th percentile in chase rate. And he's also not walking anyone, 96th percentile in walk rate, only 4% of the batters walk. The one issue we've seen with Shota sometimes is the long ball. We see the low ground ball percentage, 33.9%. With the wind not expected to be too crazy this weekend, hoping that doesn't really affect Shota at all. So like in the Cubs matchup on Saturday as well, this game will be a night game on Fox. I believe 6:15 is the start time for that one. Finally, for the series finale on Sunday, 1:20 start, we've got Jameson Taillon for the Cubs against Jordan Montgomery for the Diamondbacks. Montgomery has really struggled this year after signing really late into the season. I mean, he signed on May 26th, so didn't really get a spring training at all and just had to go right into it. And he's struggled big time. You see the one score of an 81 on here. Nope, that's against the White Sox. So who knows how much you want to put into that. The only other above average start in recent time for him was against the Angels, and his last two, a 41 against the Phillies, and let's see, an 11 against Minnesota, and that was back on June 27th. So he's been out for a little bit going into this one. Uh, so we'll see if he does end up getting that start on Sunday. It's possible he doesn't, but we're assuming he does. As we can take a look at Jameson Taillon, he's gotten pretty good over his last few. As we can see here, what's that? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 straight above average starts for Taillon, including a 59 in his last start at St. Louis on Sunday to finish out the first half of the year. So we gotta love what Tylen's really been doing here over the last few. Now let's dive into these pitchers a little more. We'll go into Montgomery, the big lefty, 6'6". And as you can see in these percentiles, he has not been good this year. -17 uh, pitch value overall or pitch run value overall. Breaking stuff has been better than the fastball. Fastball's been awful. Expected batting average, 3rd percentile. So teams are expecting to almost hit 300 against him based on their balls this year. The strikeout rate, 15% has been really bad, so 5th percentile there. He is getting some chase, so if the which is weird with the low strikeout rate to have a high chase percentage. So that's interesting. Maybe just not able to finish batters off. Um, but there's clearly an opportunity here for the Cubs to keep it going against some struggling pitchers who have generally been a lot better in their careers than they've been this season. We look at Taillon, who's been really good. The fastball's been the key. 11 +11 fastball run value. And The walks have been awesome. He's been attacking the zone like crazy. 4.7% walks, which is one of the reasons the Cubs pitchers have been so great here over the last little stretch. Tyone not getting many misses, but missing a lot of barrels, and really that's what's allowed him to get deep into games is he's not throwing a lot of pitches, not walking guys, not getting the strikeouts, but that's keeping that pitch count low. So love what we've seen out of Tyone lately and love the pitching matchups going into this series against the Diamondbacks. Take a look at some of the team batting over the last 7 days, but that's really the last 4 or 5 games, given a couple of days off for the All-Star break. Diamondbacks first in ex-WOBA. They've been hitting really well, but you can see both these teams are really hitting the ball well right now. We'll take a look at a couple of different stats. Batting average, the Cubs over the last 7 days are leading the MLB with a 303 batting average. Arizona not too far behind at 280. Wilbur Cubs third or fourth in the MLB, slugging third. So, I mean, obviously they've been hitting it well in Baltimore and finishing it off in St. Louis. Couple other stats we'll look into here. The xWOBA we see as we saw on the other page, Arizona leading at 366. But to remember again, they did score 12 runs in one of those games against the Blue Jays, so a lot of that skewed towards that game. But the whiff percentage for Arizona does jump off the page here, lowest in the majors over that span, 9%. So the Cubs will have to attack the zone likely, but I do like the pitchers they've got going, and a lot of them have been attacking the zone with Steele, Imanaga, and Tyone. Taking a look at the Diamondbacks players, um, couple guys here that I'm going to be worried about. Ketel Marte, definitely been their best hitter all year. He's been hot going into the break as well. Over the last 7 days with a 626 ex WOBA. The other guy who's been hot is Eugenio Suarez recently, as you can see in the red there. For the season, Christian Walker's been good, but not as good as of late. One interesting thing for the Diamondbacks this year, which is probably around helps why they're around 500, is last year's Rookie of the Year Corbin Carroll hitting just 212 right now. Carroll is one of their stolen base threats, leads them with 18. Jake McCarthy, really the only other serious stolen base threat they have with 13. Um, Both of those guys, they're best sprint speed guys as well. Marte and Walker have shown to be the best defensive players for them this year. And I'll add into that Gabby Moreno behind home plate as he's got a 29.2% caught stealing rate, which is 2.97 caught stealing above average. So I would expect the Cubs to be a little cautious with him behind the plate. Now, if we take a quick look at those hot hitters as of going into the break, Ketel Marte and Eugenio Suarez, those two guys, especially from the right side of the plate, both of Marte a switch hitter, Suarez a righty, so things to watch against two lefties and Steele and Imanaga to start the series. One of the other guys I might watch is Grichuk, as he's kind of been a lefty or a right lefty specialist as in going against lefties in his career. So, and a bit of a Cub killer back when he was with the Cardinals. So I'd watch him those first 2 games as well. Now we'll take a look at the same thing for the Cubs hitters. Unfortunately, a lot of guys hitting around that 200 mark with Morel, the catching core, PCA, Dansby. Although Dansby did come in really hot to the All-Star break with a 483 ex-WOBA over the last 7 days. Wisdom good as well, although limited duty for him. One of the things that's kind of happened over this streak is Council's put Morel into that DH spot, getting rid of that minus 11 odds above average. Dansby, you can see clearly the best defender on the year at 9 outs above average. And yes, David Bodie is hitting 353. A lot, kind of hard to to see that with his limited playing time. But yeah, he is 12 hits in 34 at bats this year. So I would love to see David Bodie get a little more of a run at it, given how he's hit so far. We can take a look at those hot hitters coming into the break. Dansby and Miguel Amaya, two guys who had been really struggling, have been hitting it well in the last week. Hope to see that continue. Nico and Morel as well. So that's one of the big reasons why the Cubs have been finally getting over the hump a little bit is those some of those guys who have been really bad this year have started to pick it up a little bit. So hopefully we can keep that going this weekend. I've got three keys going into this series against the Diamondbacks. Number one, jump on the Diamondback starters. They've been struggling, even though they're kind of top of the level, top of the rotation type of guys with Zach Allen and Jordan Montgomery. They've been struggling. Can't let them settle in. Jump on them and keep our offense going. Number two, don't let Ketel Marte and Eugenio Suarez hurt you. Those are two guys that have been hitting it really well for him, especially from the right side. So we'll see him there games 1 and 2 a lot. Those are the guys we can't let hurt us. Those are really the main guys I'm worried about. Christian Walker a little bit too, but mainly Marte is my biggest fear there. And number three, we need the bullpen to continue. The bullpen's been pretty decent as of late, but that's something that we're really going to have to shore up if we expect to make a charge here in the second half. Right now, who knows who those late inning guys are. Hopefully we get some guys back from the IL soon, but we need guys to start really solidifying themselves on those back end roles. Let me know how you think the Cubs will do this weekend against the Diamondbacks. Can they go for the sweep? Will the bullpen hold on to the leads? Can they get the leads? Will Dansby Swanson stay hot? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out as I'm trying to grow this channel. And thanks again for watching this video. Go Cubs!